Hello, everybody, and welcome to In the Doll World. I'm so excited that you're joining us today. As always, I believe I always have just amazing guests on this show. So I get the opportunity to speak with amazing doll artists and creators, and today is no exception. Today we have Natasha Smith. She is an art doll artist, and she is also the owner of Mend by Ruby Grace. And I want to thank her for coming on to In the Doll World with us and to be able to talk about her journey into doll making. I think it's fascinating what she does. I love her dolls. They're very whimsical and they're just beautifully styled, and I love the colors that she presents. So thank you again so much, Natasha, for being on In the Doll World with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I have been checking out your Instagram for a while, and I just thought this is a person I want to talk to because I just love the way your dolls look. I love the ideas and the concepts that you come up with, and so I want to find out a little bit more about you and about why you decided to create these dolls. So, you share a little bit about your doll journey with us.
Yeah. So I started by just wanting to make a doll for my daughter who's now 16. And I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to sew. I didn't own a sewing machine, but I saw an artist named Emily Martin on the Martha Stewart show, and she made these little rag dolls, and I thought, oh my gosh, like those are adorable, and I want to make one for Brennan, my oldest.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to Sears and I got myself just a little Singer startup sewing machine, and that's like where it all began. And it was a rough start.
I was gonna say, I was gonna say, you didn't know how to sew or anything, right? Oh
No,
gosh. Oh
no.
wow.
So
And yet you make these beautiful designs now.
it was, yeah. So it was, it's been a long journey. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's been a long journey, but I just sort of started there, and in my 20s, I just worked office jobs like
Mm-hmm.
admin, and I wasn't very good at it. It was hard. It was hard for me to do because wasn't really what I was meant to be doing. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
utilizing strengths or, like if they wanted me to make a flyer, like I'm on it, like anything artsy, let me
Anything
do
artsy, right?
it. Yeah, like I
Five
want to do it.
5 hours later, right after you're
Right.
like
Yeah,
fixing it up.
exactly. So then, um, then I had another child. And so like in between those, I would work on dolls and like, well,
Mm-hmm.
now's the time. I got some time at home and I sort of just kept going. So it was like these spurts of time that I would work on the craft like throughout
Mm-hmm.
the years. And then I had a good period of time, maybe 2 or 3 years, and that's when I started growing on Instagram. And
Mm-hmm.
I only really grew on it, well, not only, but a big part of why I grew is because I found a doll community
Mm-hmm.
in
Yes.
Instagram, and we all were sort of supporting each other and made like a Facebook group. And I don't, it was just this really wonderful period of time and connecting through art and
Mm-hmm.
makers together supporting each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I really started to find like, okay, like I can do this, like, and started really honing in a little more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I got pregnant again with my third. And then then I took three full years
Wow.
of doing anything. And I just came back to Instagram and my shop a year ago. Then it's all just changed
Mm-hmm.
completely, totally.
How has it changed for you?
I have just started really focusing on making what I want to make rather than sort of looking around and finding like what's happening out in the
Mm-hmm.
world right now, or also like before I would want to make dolls specifically for children because that's where
Mm-hmm.
I started. So I think I just kept in that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And this year has been about making dolls that just speak to my heart and like go out to the world like this is from my soul. Here you go. I don't know who
Mm-hmm.
it's for. It's for probably someone like me, like who so touching on like stuff from the past, nostalgia, things
Mm-hmm.
like that bring me joy, and I think others alike. Mostly the people who buy from me are like people my age who want
Mm-hmm.
a doll for them because
Right,
it's
who want a
just
doll for
like,
them? Exactly. Yes,
yeah, to
exactly.
display and look at and like have
Mm-hmm.
that piece of joy in their home.
Right.
but that has been a totally different experience. And I'm also, except for right this second, I'm mostly making just one doll at a time. Whereas
Okay.
before I focus on making batches. I just happen to be making a batch right now. It's the first one in a while, but
Okay.
um
Okay.
just one doll at a
Mm-hmm.
time, like, and having my focus be
Mm-hmm.
that doll specific.
Right. Okay. So have your
So,
attention on that doll and not just jumping from one doll to another, just focusing on how to create that one doll at
right.
the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
so have you, I know you said you were working in batches. Have they always been like one of a kind dolls? Even though you may have been doing two or three at a time, they've all been individual, like
Yeah, or
one of a
some,
kind?
some I would make a batch where they're all very similar in
Okay.
style,
Mm-hmm.
like this will be or like right now I'm making a strawberry shortcake inspired batch, and
Mm-hmm.
I put that because there's not one that's ever going to be exactly alike. They'll
Right.
all be
Right.
a little
Mm-hmm.
different, but more so now I'm just focusing on making like one style at a time
Mm-hmm.
and just
Okay.
focusing on that like one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll make like I made a lot of holiday dolls, but they were
Right.
all really different
Mm-hmm.
um in their fabric, the materials I use
Materials.
and the
Mm-hmm.
sk of them and stuff.
Okay.
So
All right.
I like to be able to complete one and have it be like, here she
Yes,
is. That brings me a lot of joy.
it's like
Um,
she's finished, right? You don't have like five dolls, like half finished. Like I just want to finish one doll and get that out
yeah,
the way to move on.
yeah.
Now you were saying that you didn't know how to sew when you first started, but I see the outfits are amazing. How did you learn how to do their hair? Because I think their hair is very unique, and I love the way their hair looks. So how did you go from just learning not how to sew at all to these beautiful outfits and this amazing hair that you put on the dolls?
Thank you. Well, so for a lot of years, probably the first, I don't know, a lot of years, I only did like the felt bonnet. So this is like the felt bonnet, and then I would just add kind of
Okay.
hair
Mm-hmm.
bangs. I started messing around with yarn. And then once I started messing around with yarn, it just got wild. Like what? I can do all kinds of stuff with this. But it it took a lot of there's like a lot of YouTubing, a lot of just
Mm-hmm.
trial and error mostly has
Mm-hmm.
been, I don't know, I just kind of mostly like to figure stuff out on my own. And then like, years later, I'll like Google it or something and I'll be like, what? Like
What?
that
I couldn't have did
that
that.
would have made it so much easier. Like, what was I thinking? Come on. Um, but now I'm doing a lot of like yarn
Okay.
work, which is like baking yarn on metal needles.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
then
So cute. I love
thank
their
you.
faces.
I just discovered recently needle felting. Like,
Okay.
what? That was another aha. Needle felting is just so this one is needle felted here. So
Okay.
this isn't actually
Oh,
like this
wow.
needed felted onto her
Okay.
head.
Oh,
So
wow.
that is it's so fun. It's really fun. And
I love that outfit too. It's very whimsical and very colorful. It's so cute.
thank you. So I made this for my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Sunshine, and she picked out most of the fabrics, and then
Oh,
I put
that's
it
sweet.
together. Yeah, for her
That is
Christmas.
sweet. That's great. How did you come up with the name? Because I think your name is really unique. I never, at first, when I first saw it a couple of times, I thought maybe that's not, maybe I'm not reading that right. When I first
And
saw what the name was, Mend by Ruby Grace, and then I realized your name wasn't Ruby Grace. So I was
I
like,
know,
okay, so how did you come
yeah,
by creating
it's
that name?
confusing. Yeah, it's
It's okay.
confusing. I've thought about. I'll preface by I've thought about changing it, and I've
No.
had it for so many years, but I was trying to think of a name and be creative, and Mend I came up with because when I first started making dolls, I'm just drawn to things that are old or made before.
Mhm.
So I would use a lot of like vintage handkerchiefs and things that were embroidered. I would look for those things to make a doll dress out of, or
Okay.
I
Mm-hmm.
just I love the idea of reusing something or giving new life to something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I was like, Mend, like I really love that. And then Ruby Grace are both names from my first kids. Like,
Okay.
so
Nice.
Brennan's middle name is Ruby, and then Gunner's middle name is Grace. And so,
Mhm.
but then everyone's like, wait, what's her name? Like, Natasha. My name's Natasha. And it's really confusing, but yeah. But then I just kept it because I have had it for so long. So
Right, right, right. But it fits what you wanted it to be,
yeah,
so that's the thing. I mean, because you made the dolls because for your daughters. For one
yeah.
of them, you said you started out. So when you decided to make the dolls for her, how old was she then? Because you said she's 16 now. How old was she then when you first started
She was
thinking about?
2. I think
Oh
she was about
wow.
2. Yeah.
Okay. All
So I
right.
think it's longer than I think. I was go back and go, oh my gosh, it's been a really long time. She
Does
was
she like them though? Does she like your dolls?
She does. And they both are well, I have 3 kids, and
Mm-hmm.
but the 2 oldest are like really extremely gifted artists. And I
Nice.
just think it's so sweet to see that, they appreciate, they'll come in and
Right.
like give me ideas, or they'll just
Mm-hmm.
kind of say like, oh, that looks great, mom, or oh my, I
Mm-hmm.
love that. And I feel really honored.
Yeah.
And when I see their stuff, I'm like, what, dang. Like, you guys got skills. They got some skills.
That's cool that
Yeah.
they like what you do and that they participate and give you feedback and to help you grow as well, because that of
Cool.
course they have their own vision of certain things, right? and
Yeah.
and I'm sure that helps you when you talk to them about that.
Yeah.
So what is your thought process for coming up with characters? Because I know they're one of a kind, and like some of them are just really really whimsical. Some of them are, you had the spooky dolls, you have the ones for the holidays, but what is your thought process when you think about the next character that you're going to work on?
Yeah. So really what I do, instead of like thinking of a character, I don't sketch anything out. I pull fabric. That's like what I
Mm,
do. So I base it on like, I really want to use this. I want to see what can come out of this.
hmm.
Oh, like with this girl especially, this is like I think it's like some 80s sheet that I saw at the Goodwill, and I'm like, that's super cute. I want to
Hmm.
see what I can do with that. I think I can make that really cute.
Hmm.
And I want to use it. And then I sort of go like, it's just a funny process. I go, I think I want her to have long sleeves. Well, I've never made long sleeves before. Let's try that out. And then it's
Hmm.
just all like, even still 14 years later, trial and error, like,
Hmm.
let's just see how this goes. Um, and it's really, it's fun. It keeps me on my toes.
Right.
And I think I need that challenge, day.
Hmm.
But
Right.
mostly I just pull fabrics, and
Okay.
yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily start out with a face or a character. It's just based on like the fabrics that you look at and what comes out of
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you created the spooky doll, which I absolutely absolutely love them, they're just so cute.
Yeah.
Was it a fabric that you found and said, "Hey, I want to make something out of that," or did you actually see the face of that doll first?
No, so interesting about the spooky doll was like, I started with the Frankenstein bride girl,
Mm-hmm.
with the big hair, and I'm like, oh my
Uh-huh.
gosh, okay, I gotta move forward. I'm gonna try green skin. And so then I went with the green skin, and I knew I was gonna do darker colors.
Mm-hmm.
So then I mostly focused on the fabric, like what texture, sparkles, like what
Mm-hmm.
textures can I pull that are going to bring
Mm-hmm.
like interest to my brain, like, because
Right.
I think that's sort of how it works. And then the face came last, which
Oh wow.
I
Okay.
shocked myself, because I'm like, I'm gonna put a button on her face.
On her eye.
And then the very
Interesting.
first one, I did a stitch across, and I was like, I just surprised myself, I
Mm-hmm.
go like, whoa, okay, that was cool. Like, and then I do make one like that, and then I just want to keep making more
Mm-hmm.
and see what happens,
See
see
what
what else
happens.
will
Mm-hmm.
happen. And
Yeah.
and that's sort of the joy of the ride. It's just, you just don't know
Mm-hmm. What's going to
what's gonna
show
come
up?
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true. But I think that's what makes them so unique, right? Is that you
Yeah.
don't know, like you may, like you said, you may have even started off with thinking about a certain, face or anything, but I'm sure it changes along the way. Once you start incorporating different things into it, it's like becomes a whole different doll.
Yes. Yeah.
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 So what kind of fabrics do you use when you create the dolls?
So I use a Kona as a base and I
Okay.
double it up. So it's thick. And
Mm,
when I stuff them, they're very full. So they're not
mhm.
plushy. They're
Right.
hard,
Okay.
the bases are stiff and hard,
Hmm.
So it's not a soft doll. The legs are
The
the legs
legs.
get a
Hmm.
little squishy,
Hmm.
the arms, but I that's all I use a Kona base and then whatever for everything else. Whatever I can get my hands on, find,
Hmm.
work with.
Hmm.
And I do a lot of my shopping at we have a local resale craft shop that receives donations
Oh,
and
nice.
all of or something like 90% of their proceeds go to a senior center.
Oh, nice.
There
Hmm.
is like the it's it's the greatest stuff because it's stuff that's just been donated from people
Hmm.
who are done crafting. So lots of
Right.
vintage old fabrics and cuts and bajillion trims and just all kinds of stuff. And it's not too expensive. So I
Right.
just go there and it's still the best place for me to go because my
Hmm.
imagination is just like, whoa, I can use that and that and that. So anything
Hmm.
really. Yeah,
Hmm.
any kind of fabric for creating.
For
But
creating.
always Kona for the base is what
Hmm.
I use.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now you have these great detailed, like, and hand painted eyelashes and for your dolls. What made you decide to do that and not to just go ahead and stick something on that you didn't have to paint? Because I'm sure that's much more time consuming, right? So
Yeah.
why did you decide to create eyes like that? Because they have great eyes. They have great eyelashes.
Yeah, so I noticed for myself that I'm like really influenced by sort of Sanrio characters or like sort of that Japanese style
Mm-hmm.
sort of little caricature
Mm-hmm.
people, like not necessarily I'm super impressed by anime, but like not the eye style. Like I want to be able to do that. I haven't tried to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they all mostly have the little like happy eyes or like the
Mm-hmm.
little closed eyes. And I'm like, so when I first started making dolls, I'm gonna try that. And they just started getting more intricate over the year, just the lashes. And
Okay.
then at some point in the middle, people started asking me to make open eyes because like kids don't always want their dolls sleeping.
Right.
That's
Right.
kind
Right.
of the thing. So I did try that for a while and I just
Mm-hmm.
didn't. They were cute, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think I enjoyed making them as much. And
Okay.
I feel like this is sort of just more true to sticking with this is what
Mm-hmm. Right.
this is my
Mm-hmm.
brand. This is what I
Yes.
like to do. And I'm always happy when they have closed eyes when they come out. So um
That's cute.
yeah, that's just the style.
Okay, no problem. That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. Now, do you have like different stages of when you started to like when you to when you got better and then now you're like much better at creating them? Do you have different faces that we could see? Like,
So this is the one of the very first dolls. I think it's the
okay.
first doll I made because her arm is all but she happens to have these kind of like up
Mm-hmm.
eyes, So
Right.
it sort of even started with something really simple.
Okay. So that's when you
But
first started making them. Okay.
yeah, this is
Oh,
the
so
beginning.
cute. Okay.
It's wild. And then this is sort of the middle. Yeah, this is like lashes too, but
Okay.
even though what happened also this year is that I'd been making these felt heads. And
Hmm.
so, it's sort of just two-dimensional,
Right. Right.
one seam. And then this year I finally dove into making like a 3D head. It's like a circle
Hmm.
head. Let me see if I have a thing to show you. I
Sure.
think I do right
Hmm.
here. This is one of my trial runs, but so that it's more
Okay.
like
Hmm.
um 3D.
Right.
Because I in my head from the beginning, I always wanted them to be more of like a round shape. Like a
Right.
round shape face was like
Hmm.
what I had wanted. But I didn't really know how to do that. I didn't know how to sew. So I was
Right.
like, if I have to do more than one seam for the head, then no, that's
Yeah,
too
that's
much.
not gonna work.
But yeah, so that was like I don't know, it felt like a really big step
Mm,
and a really big step into
Hmm.
my artistry or whatever
Yeah.
like that.
Hmm.
I was finally able to make that happen. And
Hmm.
the way that happened was just trying out and I have stories or reels on my Instagram of that, like trying out like how do you do this? Is it going to take like 5 different
Hmm.
sections, 4 different sections? How many? We tried all these different shapes, like just trial runs of how are we
Right.
going to make this perfectly round doll head for my dolls,
Right.
and we did it. And
Yes.
now, I'm really happy with them now, but it's been a journey.
Do you now do you take commissions, or all the work you do is just from your ideas, like you don't take commissions in?
Yeah, I don't take
Okay.
commissions. I used to like a long time ago, and
Hmm.
I share this a lot on Instagram. I have ADHD and I suffer from depression, and
Hmm.
that's why being in this field works for me also, because I'm able to do it. When I'm having good days, I can do
Right.
it. And when
Yes.
I'm having harder days, it's not
Hmm.
like I have things weighing on my plate or waiting for me.
Right. Right.
So with
Hmm.
commissions, it never really worked. I didn't know why before. I was in my 20s back then, and I didn't know how serious, mental health was back then.
Right.
I would
Right.
take commissions and it was not good. It was,
Not good. Yes.
really bad experiences
Yeah.
and like letting people down and feeling like
Hmm.
it was pretty sad actually. And I think, it I would end up setting this aside because I felt like
Right.
that doesn't work for me.
Hmm.
But the piece that didn't work was like taking on things that I couldn't
That
commit
you
to.
couldn't. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And probably, and because you probably couldn't understand, like you said, why it wasn't working, so it became even more frustrating, until,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
until now you figured it out, and you're like, well, yeah, that's not going to work for me, and it's not going to work for you as a customer. So
Right. You're not
it's
going to
not.
like it. Trust me. Like, it's not going to be a fun experience. But yeah, I feel there's some sadness I feel about that because I do
Hmm.
um I love other people's ideas. I think they come up with some really great things. And I love that when people have custom orders that it means so much to them
Right.
for
Right.
certain reasons. And
Hmm.
so I can see the value in being able to do that. And there's so many doll artists out there who do that thing,
Right.
who
Right.
do that. So
Hmm.
I feel like, we have other people out there who are doing it. And
Yeah, but if that's not a space, that you are, that doesn't align with what, with how you create,
yeah,
then it doesn't really make sense for you to do that, because, like you
right.
said, not you're not the only one that's going to suffer. The customer's going to suffer, and again, it turns back into your business as well too. It's still, even though you're doing it, and it helps you when you do it, it's still a business. So at the end of
Right.
the
Yeah.
day, and you want to make sure that everybody's happy in that. So you have to,
Yeah.
and we know part of, even mental health or self-care is about taking care of you. You
Right.
have to do that, in order
Yeah.
to produce the things that you do. Where do you market your dolls at? Is it just through Instagram? Do you go to doll shows and things like that?
No, I don't. I
No.
get
Okay.
just Instagram, but
Wow.
I started out on Etsy. So
Okay.
I started at the very beginning. I was doing craft shows and things like
Hmm.
that. And then I moved on to Etsy for a while. And then I had enough movement on Etsy that I opened my big cartel shop that I have now. And then that's when I met that doll group and we started sort of growing on Instagram. So
Hmm.
that was enough. I was a little surprised when I took, a 3-year break and came back to Instagram. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to go because I've been gone for 3 years. So we'll just see. But it's been going great. I've met a lot
Yeah.
of new people and I really connect with the people there because, don't just share about dull stuff
Hmm.
on there, share just
Just a community of everything. Yeah.
yeah, all of what I can about what's going on with myself because I
Right.
feel like that it's a whole package.
Hmm. Right.
And
Exactly.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, just but yeah, on Instagram, that's where I am.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
dolls are have been amazing, for therapy, for helping people through a lot of different situations in their lives. So
Yeah.
whether you create them or you play with them, they're just a vital part of not just your childhood, but also can be part of your womanhood too. So, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we still love dolls, and so I think it's a great way for you to utilize your strength and your skills, but also at the same time, have them as something that helps support you,
Right.
yeah, mentally and physically, with
Yeah.
what you do. So I think you do amazing work. I just absolutely love your work.
Thank you so much.
I really do. I mean, I would see these little pink hairs and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so bright and colorful, and they just really make me smile. So I just
Oh,
really do admire what you do and how you do that. When you came back after 3 years, what was the difference of the dolls that you created then and the dolls that you started creating currently?
yeah.
Was there a big difference in the look? So is that
Yes.
why you were kind of worried about, is this going to work, or you know?
Yeah, I think I was worried about how it would fit into social media because
Mm,
that had changed, developed so much over the 3 years that I was gone. And then I hadn't sewn anything really for 3 years. I put my
wow.
sewing machine away. We moved, and so everything was put away. And then I broke my sewing machine back out to make masks during
Mm-hmm.
the whole,
Well, COVID. Mm-hmm.
pandemic, COVID, and everything. And so it was sitting out, and I'm like, just at some point, I'm like, I think it's time to try again. But I honestly was scared because I hadn't sewn anything for 3 years. Like,
Mm-hmm.
is it going to be like riding a bike? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the difference between 3 years ago and now is that 3 years ago, I felt sort of like I love every doll that I've made. But back then, I think I was more focused on what's kind of happening out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
So they were very like beautiful and sort of monotone color, not monotone, but they weren't like super bright and cheery or sort of in your face,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I think I felt a little held back by I want to make something sparkly or like something that might fit in a nursery, fit in the aesthetic that's happening
Mm-hmm.
in the world right now. I think that's the record that was playing in my head before.
Right.
Now I'm like, I just want to make
Everything.
what I want to make. Like if I want to use that bright pink fabric, like neon, something, like I'm just gonna do it, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
like someone will love it as much as I do.
Right.
Maybe
Right.
not. I don't know. Maybe it'll sit in here and be with me, and that's okay too. But like, I think that's just sort of where I am now. Like I just want to make stuff
Mm-hmm.
that feels happy or
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. That's exactly how they made me feel when I saw them. They just made me
yeah.
feel happy. I was
Oh,
like, this is so adorable. I couldn't stop looking at them, honestly, because
oh,
I you know I just felt really good looking at them, and the fact that you know started using the whimsical colors, or the quirkiness of them, and but also the beauty too, which I really find them really beautiful too, even through all of that, you know what I mean, all the
yeah.
nostalgia and all that. They're just very crafted very well. So
Thank you.
yeah, you're so welcome. Thank you for bringing them back, and and listening to your heart and what you wanted to create, because I think that makes a big difference. Hmm.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's difficult to do, I think sometimes for artists out
Hmm.
there,
Yes.
when like just really tuning into, what you're feeling inside, and it's vulnerable to share and go like, this is it. This is
Hmm.
like a
Right.
piece of who I am, and I'm just
Right.
gonna put it out there and see, maybe
Yeah.
people get it, maybe they don't.
Yeah.
So I think it takes a lot of courage, and I'm just so inspired by all of the artists out there, especially on now social media. Like, you're just connected to so many different people. And so I get inspired by them to go like, just do what you want. Just like do what makes you happy. Just because it's all about heart, I think, like,
Hmm. Yeah. So that would be your message, right? To artists out there who are up and coming, who wanted to create something. Would that be your message? Just do what's in your heart.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And it might feel scary and vulnerable to do. But I think I read a book recently, oh my gosh, Steal the Artist, something like that. I don't know the
Mm-hmm.
name exactly. But I think the idea is that we're all original. No one is ever exactly alike. We're all influenced by things that
Mm-hmm.
came before us,
Right.
naturally so, because we
Right.
grew up in a world where that's what happens. Like as
Right.
you But anything you put out into the world is yours,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
so it won't ever be exactly like anyone else because it's coming from your voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
so
so I think
true.
there was a lot of freedom in reading that and going,
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's hard too when you're in a space with people who make things that are similar too.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think people
Yeah.
get caught up in like, but wait, someone else is doing that. Or, it's just easy to kind of like, but
Yeah.
you are your own artist and stay true to who you are inside. And it's scary to do sometimes, but that's where the joy comes from.
That's what I can say. That's where the freedom comes from. It's
Yeah.
just, have to, like you said, find a space to be free, to
Yeah.
be who you are. And of course, that can be challenging because nobody likes rejection. Nobody wants to feel like what they're sharing is not accepted, or you know what I mean? So we do understand that part, but I think what you're saying is so right. I don't think you can be free or create and be really creative if you can't just be you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think putting out a sort of muted version of yourself, maybe a safe version,
Hmm.
um, can do that, but I think that it's sort of a muted joy too, then because it's not truly free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
So,
That's true. And
yeah.
that's probably what I think a lot of people see when they see your dolls, is because there's so many different variations of the nostalgia and the whimsical, right? And the familiarity of like it looking being like a rag doll, but the unfamiliarity of it being, a Frankenstein. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
but it still all works together so beautifully, you know.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. I just want to thank you for being on the show. I really am glad that you were able to find the time to be a part of In the Doll World with us, and share your beautiful designs and your beautiful dolls with us. So, where can people find your work at?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. It's at Mend by Ruby Grace Dolls. And then, there's links to my shop in there. Yeah, but that's where I am.
Well, thank you so much. I wish you much success with your dolls. And again, thank you for being on In the Doll World with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye. Bye bye.
Bye.